The departures board at SeaTac flickered. Flight 482 to Reykjavik. Boarding in 20 minutes. Clara checked her phone again. No text from Ethan. She'd been checking every 90 seconds for the past hour, which was not like her. She was the kind of person who arrived 2 hours early for international flights, who packed her passport in the same pocket every time, who didn't panic when things ran late. But Ethan was 45 minutes late, and he wasn't answering. She called. It went to voicemail, his default, the one he'd recorded 3 years ago and never updated. Hey, it's Ethan. Leave a message. She hung up without leaving one. They'd been planning this trip for 6 months. Iceland, the Northern Lights, their engagement anniversary. Ethan had said, I want to see the aurora with you before we get married. He'd said it like it meant something. Her phone buzzed. Not a call. I text Ethan. I can't board the flight. Sophia's back. You have no idea what a first love means to another. Clara read it once. Then again. Then a third time. Slowly. Like the words might rearrange themselves into something that made sense. Sophia. The name she'd heard about 100 times. The college girlfriend. The one who'd left him for a photography fellowship in Patagonia and never came. The one Ethan still got quiet about, like he was looking at something she couldn't. She was about to type and when her phone buzzed. Not Ethan this time. A news alert from a Seattle gossip. Tech CEO Ethan Moss spotted proposing to ex-girlfriend at Pike Place. Clara tapped. The video was shaky, taken by someone Ethan was down on one knee in front of the fish market, a ring in the... Sophia was crying, nodding, throwing her arms around him. The crowd heard. Someone in the background. She said yes. The timestamp. 20. Clara locked her. She put it face down on the armrest of the... She looked at the department. Reykjavik. A flight attendant walked past, calling for Clara. She thought about the dress. The cream-colored sweater dress she'd bought specifically for the aurora. She thought about the reservations Ethan had supposedly made at the hotel. She thought about how we're going to Iceland, and then her mother had been happy. Her phone again. She picked it up. Ethan, I know it's sudden, but you're the strongest person I know. Be okay. We'll talk when I get back. Clara screamed. We'll talk. Like she was a meeting. Like she'd be sitting in the same chair, same life, waiting for him to finish playing out his first. She opened. Her thumbs hovered keyboard. She could the paragraph. She could 10. She could tell him exact thought of him. Sophia. Of first loves and men who used other people's patience. Word. Fine. Then she opened the airline app and canceled her ticket. The refund would go back to her credit card in 5 to 10 business days. She dragged her carry-on behind her and walked away. The air plowed around her. Announcements, rolling suitcases, a child lying somewhere, the mechanical water. Clara walked through it all in water. Outside, the sail hit her. Cold, damp, smelling like gin. She stood at the curb and watched up. The driver got up with her bag. Where to? Clara gave him the address of the office, and Marcus's office. The architecture firm they'd started together 4 years ago, in a converted house in Fremont. The taxi highway streaked the windows. Clara watched the city lights blur past and thought absurdly about the aurora. She searched it for weeks. The best time of year, best locations, how to photograph it with the long exposure so hot her. She'd been so her phone buzzed. He looked down. That's my girl. Always so sensible. Don't worry, will always be important to me. Clara read it. Then she laughed. The short, sharp surprised even her. Important to me. She was a file folder. Like she was a utility. She opened her contacts. Scrolled past Ethan's name. She did not yet. She found the name for and pressed call. It rang twice. Marcus said. His voice was a little surprised. Aren't you supposed to Iceland right now? Clara looked out the taxi window at the gray, rain-soaked city home for 8 years. She thought about the gate, text, the video, the ring. She thought about Ethan saying, you'll always be important if it was a gift. Finished, she said, and her voice was steady. Can you pick me up at the office? I need a favor. Of course, Marcus said. No hesitation. I'll be downstairs. Clara hung up. She set the laugh and watched the rain. Somewhere above the clouds, a plane came off for Reykjavik without her, and for the first time in 2 years, feel like she was missing it. Marcus was leaning against the loading dock when the taxi pulled up, holding 2 paper cups. He handed one to Clara without asking. Oat milk latte, extra hot, the way she liked it. You look like you've had a day, he said. Clara took the coffee. The warmth seeped into her fingers. You could say that. They went upstairs to the office. It was a converted warehouse in Fremont, exposed brick, drafting tables by the windows, a wall of material samples. Marcus had designed the space himself. Clara had picked the light fixtures. It was the most honest collaboration she'd ever had. She sat on the couch in the break area and told him everything. The airport, the text, the video. You'll always be important to me. Marcus listened. He didn't say I told you so, though he could have. He'd never liked Ethan. He'd never said. But Clara had seen the way his jaw tightened when Ethan canceled a dinner for the third time, or forgot an anniversary, or talked about Sophia like she was a ghost Clara could never compete with. When she finished, Marcus, what do you need? Help, Clara. I need to call the wedding venue and cancel. I need to return the ring. I need to not be alone right. Okay. Marcus, I'll call the venue. You call the jeweler. And you're not By Wednesday, the ring was back at the door. The venue deposit was full, and Clara's mother had stopped calling every... Ethan texted twice, seeing, how are you holding up? Thinking of you then. Sophia's great. We're talking about a spring thing. You'd love her. Clara didn't lie. She blocked his number on Friday night. She was at the office alone, working on a set of construction drawings for a client. The warehouse was quiet except for the hum of the plotter and the rain on the sky. She was on her third coffee when the front door buzzed. Marcus walked in with a paper bag from the taco place on You haven't eaten? It wasn't. They ate at the draft table, tacos and beer, the way they had 100 times before, but something different. Clara. The space between them changed, like a room where the furniture had been moved while she... After the tacos, Marcus... He sat on the edge of the drafting table and watched her roll up. I need something, he said, and then I'm going to shut up about it, and you can pretend I never said it if that... Clara... I've been in love with you since second year of art school, Marcus said. His voice was steady, but his hands were in his pockets. That studio project we did together, the dinner, you stayed up for 36 hours redoing the presentation boards because you said the right. I want. I'm going to love this woman for the rest. Clara's throat tightened. I never said anything before with Ethan, he continued, and we're engaged, and I wasn't to be that guy. But now he stopped, took a breath. I'm not asking aside tonight. I'm not asking you to marry me, or date me, or anything. I'm just telling you that I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And if you ever want to try, I'm with you. I'll be right here. He got up, walked to the door. He paused. Also, he said out turning around. Your fake flower is anemone. Silver one. I've known that since you mentioned 2019. Just so... He left. Clara sat in the empty time. She thought about second year, the community center project, 36 hours. She remembered Marcus bringing coffee at 4 a.m., remembered him not complaining when she redid the time. She'd thought being a good partner, she'd been wrong. The next morning, Clara was scrolling through her email when a headline newsfeed. Ethan Voss engagement. Clara and I are working through things. She tapped it. It was an interview with a local tech blog. Ethan was quoted at length. Sophia and I have a history, and I'm not going to apologize for following my heart, he said. But Clara and I are working through things. She's an incredible person, and she'll always have a place in my life. Taking it one day at a time, Clara stared at the screen, working through things. A place in my life. Like the project he was managing. Hadn't already ended it. She thought about Mark in the warehouse. I've been with you since second year. I'm not going in to pay attention. He thought about Ethan at the airport, trying to call. Clara closed the article. She opened her text messages. She found Martin. She typed, do you want to get dinner tonight? Not as something else. She hit before she could overthink it. 3 dots appeared and then Marcus. I'm wearing the blue. Marcus. The one you said, a respectable human. Clara laughed. It was the laugh she'd had in a week. She set the phone down and looked window at the rain. Somewhere across town, Ethan was telling the press that she was through things with him. Clara was done working through things. She was done being the person who waited. The first date was the Italian place in Wallingford. The second was a gallery opening in Capitol Hill. The third was takeout on the floor of Clara's apartment, assembling IKEA shelves, because Marcus had showed up with a hex wrench and said, you mentioned this last month. I brought the tools. That was the thing about Marcus. He listened. Not the performative nodding Ethan did while checking his phone, actual listening. He remembered that Clara's mother was allergic to cats. He remembered that Clara took her coffee with oat milk because dairy gave her headaches. He remembered that she'd been wanting to replace the bookshelf in her apartment since last November. Clara noticed it, and it scared her, because noticing meant feeling. And feeling right now felt dangerous. She was 2 weeks out of a 2-year engagement. She was supposed to be in Iceland. She was supposed to be planning a wedding with a man who'd proposed to someone else at a fish market. "You're overthinking it," Marcus said, tightening the shelf bracket. He didn't look up. "I can see it in your face. The same face you make when a client wants a load-bearing wall removed." Clara laughed. "Is it that obvious? You've been staring at that hex wrench for 5 minutes like it owes you money." He sat back on his heels and looked at her. "We don't have to do anything fast. I've waited 6 years. I can wait 6 more months if that's what you need." "It's not that," Clara said. "It's, what if this is a rebound? What if I'm just replacing Ethan because it hurts less than being alone?" Marcus set down the wrench. He was quiet for a moment. "Do you think about Ethan when you're with me?" he said. Clara thought about it. The gallery opening. She'd been looking at a photograph of a frozen lake, and Marcus had said something about negative space, and she'd thought, I could listen to him talk about architecture forever. She hadn't thought about Ethan once. "No," she said, "I don't." "Then it's not a rebound," Marcus said. "A rebound is when you're with someone but thinking about someone else. You're here, with me. That's all I need." He went back to the shelf. Clara watched him work. The way his hands moved, sure and practiced. The way he hummed off key under his breath when he was concentrating. She thought about Ethan, who'd never once offered to assemble furniture. Who'd hired someone for everything. Who'd said, "That's what we pay people for." Ethan texted on Tuesday. "Ethan, I made a mistake. Sophia and I broke up. Can we talk?" Clara stared at the message. 2 weeks. He'd lasted 2 weeks with his first love. She typed a reply. "Clara. No, Ethan. Clara, come on. I know you're angry, but Clara, I'm not angry. I'm done. There's a difference." She blocked the number. "He got a new one the next day, Ethan. I'm outside your office. Can we talk for 5 minutes?" Clara looked out the warehouse window. Ethan was standing on the sidewalk below, holding a bouquet of roses, her least favorite flower, ironically. He'd never remembered that she preferred anemones. She went downstairs. She didn't invite him in. She stood on the loading dock with her arms crossed. 5 minutes, she said. Ethan started talking, about mistakes, about timing, about how Sophia wasn't what he remembered, about how he'd been an idiot. He talked for 4 of the 5 minutes. When he finally stopped, Clara said, "Are you done?" "Clara, you proposed to another woman in public. You texted me from an airport. You told a reporter we were working through things while I was canceling our wedding venue." Her voice was flat. "I don't want an apology, Ethan. I want you to leave me alone. I'm seeing someone, and it's not a phase. It's not revenge. It's real." Ethan's face fell. "Marcus. Yes. The partner." He said it like it was an insult. "The man who didn't stand me up at an airport," Clara said. "The man who remembers what flowers I like. The man who shows up. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do." She turned and walked back inside. She didn't look back. That night, Marcus found her in the office, alone, staring at a set of drawings she wasn't really seeing. "He came by?" she said. "I told him to leave," Marcus nodded. He didn't ask for details. He didn't say, "I told you he'd come crawling back." He just went to the kitchenette, made her a cup of tea, chamomile with honey, the way she liked it when she was stressed, and set it down beside her. "Do you want to talk about it?" He said, "Not really." "Okay. Then do you want to watch a terrible movie and make fun of the architecture?" Clara smiled. "Yeah, I'd like that." They sat on the break room couch with the tea and a laptop playing some 90s thriller with a house that had no right angles. Marcus made fun of the columns. Clara made fun of the kitchen. Halfway through, Clara leaned her head on his shoulder, and he put his arm around her, and neither of them said anything about it. It just felt right. After the movie, Marcus walked her to her car. The rain had stopped. The Fremont Bridge was lit up against the dark water. "Marcus," Clara said before she could overthink it. "Yeah? I don't want to take it slow anymore." He stopped, turned to face her. "I've spent 2 years being the sensible one," she said. "The patient one. The one who waits. And I'm tired of waiting. I know who you are. I trust you. And when I'm with you, I don't have to be anything except myself. So I don't want slow. I want..." He kissed her. It cut off the rest of the sentence, which was fine, because the rest of it would have been embarrassing and unnecessary. When he pulled back, he was grinning. "Are you asking me to marry you?" he said. "Not yet," Clara said, "but I'm getting there." "Good," Marcus said, "because I've had a ring picked out since March, and I'd really like an excuse to use it." Clara stared at him. "Since March?" "Since before the airport. Since before Sophia. Since I realized I was never going to stop loving you and I might as well be prepared." He shrugged. "I'm an architect. I plan ahead," Clara laughed. It came out shaky and bright and a little bit like crying, but it was real. She got in her car. She watched Marcus walk back to the warehouse in the rearview mirror. Tall, steady, the blue shirt, the hands in his pockets. She thought about Ethan on the loading dock with his roses, about the airport, about the text that had ended everything. And she thought, "I didn't lose anything that day. I just finally let go of something I should have let go of a long time ago." She drove home, and for the first time in weeks, she didn't lie awake replaying the airport. She fell asleep almost immediately, and she didn't dream about Iceland. She dreamed about shelves and hex wrenches, and a man who showed up with tools because she'd mentioned it once, months ago, and he'd been listening. Dinner was at a small Italian place in Wallingford that Marcus had been wanting to try for months. He wore the blue shirt. He brought a book, a monograph on Alvar Aalto, because he'd remembered Clara was writing a paper on Nordic modernism. They talked about everything except the thing that was hanging between them. The firm's new project, a difficult client, the way the light hit the drafting tables at 4 in the afternoon. Halfway through the second glass of wine, Clara reached across the table and touched his hand. Marcus stopped talking. He looked at her hand on his, then at her face. "I don't want to take it slow," Clara said. "I've already taken 2 years of slow with someone who wasn't paying attention. I know you. I trust you. I've worked with you for 4 years, and I've never once doubted you. So I'm asking you, not as a rebound, not as a distraction. Do you want to do this? For real?" Marcus's hand turned over under her. He laced their fingers together. "Clara bent," he said. "I have been waiting for you to ask me that since 2019. Is that a yes?" "It's the easiest yes I've ever said." They didn't do a long engagement. Clara had already done the long engagement. The venue, the caterer, the save the dates that had to be canceled. She didn't want any of it. City Hall, said. "Say, just us and whoever can make it on 3 days." Marcus said, "You want to get married in 4 days?" "I want to get married before I change my mind and start over." They called the county clerk on Tuesday and made an appointment for Saturday. Clara's mother, Marcus's father, said, "Took you long." Their office manager, Rose, said, "I've known it since the day you two stayed up all night finishing that hospital proposal and didn't care." On Clara sent Ethan a text from she'd gotten a new clean. Clara, "I'm getting married Saturday. Don't come." She didn't expect it. She got 20 minutes late with him. "This is because of the Sophia. You're being impulsive. We need to talk." "Clara, we don't. I'm not asking for it. I'm telling you so you don't hear it from someone else." "Ethan, Clara, come on. You don't mean this. You're hurt. Give it a week." Clara took the phone. Saturday morning was gray and wet, the kind of Seattle rain that doesn't fall so much as... Clara wore a simple white dress, knee-length, long-sleeve, fancy. She'd bought it the day before at a boutique in Batman sale, because it fit and it didn't run her. Her mother did her makeup in the bathroom. "Are you shot this baby?" she asked me. "I've never been more sure of anything," Clara said. "It's true." Marcus was waiting on the steps of the King County Courthouse. He wore a dark gray suit, not the blue shirt, but something more formal. In his hand, a small bouquet of silver anemones, white ribbon. Clara stopped at the steps, at the flowers, then at him. "You remember," she said. I pay attention," Marcus said. He held out his arm. She took it. They walked the steps together, the rain shoulders. The ceremony long. The judge was a woman with kind eyes and a stamp that made a satisfying thunk when she pressed it in. Do you, Clara Bennett, take Marcus Hale to be your lawfully wedded husband? I do. Do you, Marcus Hale, take Clara Bennett to be your wife? I do. More than anything, the judge smiled. By the power vested in me, state of Washington, I now pronounce husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. Marcus kissed her. It was gentle and sure, and nothing like she'd had before. The one felt like a performance, like e-box. Returning home. Out, rain had picked up. Their families and a handful of friends were waiting, fellas, cheering. Rosa was taking photos with her phone and crying. Clara's mother was full into a tissue. Marcus held the anemones in one hand, the other. Down the steps together, and for the first time as she could remember, Clara didn't feel like she was going to go wrong. The reception was at a restaurant in Pioneer Square. 30 people, family and close friends, paella and cava, and a cake that said finally in blue icing. Clara's mother gave a speech that made everyone cry. Marcus's best man told a story about the community project in second year, about how Marcus had stayed up an extra 12 hours redoing his own bowl because he wanted to impress the studio. Clara lost the table. He was laughing at something Rosa had said, his hick of her chair. She thought about Ethan at the airport, about the text, about the video. She thought about how small a way all of it felt now, and buzzed in her purse. She'd check it. It buzzed again. And again, Marcus leaned. Everything okay? Clara smiled. She pulled out, saw Ethan's name, and found her new number and silenced it. She said. She put the Marcus's hand. The restaurant was warm and people who loved them. Outside, the Seattle rain fell steadily at the ends of Pioneer Square, and somewhere across town, Ethan Voss was seeing a photo on Instagram. Clara in a white dress, Marcus in a gray suit, silver anemones, courthouse steps behind them. Hand was starting to shake. Ethan saw the photo at 8:47 p.m. It was on Instagram, a mutual friend from college, someone he hadn't spoken to in years, who'd posted a carousel from the reception. The first photo was Clara in the white dress, laughing, Marcus's arm around her waist. The second was the cake, finally in blue icing. The third was a close-up of their hands, Clara's, with a simple gold band where the engagement ring used to be. Ethan stared at the screen. The engagement ring. He'd bought it at Tiffany's. 2 carats, Clara had cried when he proposed. She'd worn it every day for 2 years, and now there was a different ring on her finger. A thin gold band. Nothing fancy. Nothing like what he'd given her. He called it the new number. He'd gotten it from her mother, who'd been confused and polite, and hadn't asked why he wanted it. It went to voicemail. He called again. Voicemail. Again. He grabbed his key. The restaurant was on Yesler Way, a place with exposed brick and string lights, and a sign out front that said, private event. Ethan pushed through the door without knocking. The room went quiet. 30 people turned to him. Clara was at the head of the table, Marcus beside her, her mother mid-sentence with a fork halfway to her mouth. Ethan walked toward them. He was aware that he was breathing too fast, that his hands were shaking, that he probably looked unhinged. He didn't care, Clara, he said. His voice was too loud in the quiet room. What is it? Clara sat down. She looked, not with anger, not with tears, just with a calm that was worse. It's my wedding reception. You can't. He stopped. You can't marry. Clara, I made a mistake. With Thea. It was impulsive. I wasn't. You weren't. Clara's voice. You proposed to her at Pike Place Market in front of a crowd. You texted me from the court. You told a reporter we were working things. That's not. That is. I know. He reached her hand. But I'm choosing you now. Okay, I'm choosing you. We can still get up. Yeah. And push. He just stepped between Clara. His body was married, Marcus said. His voice low and even. To me. Need to leave. Ethan looked at him. Marcus Hale, the partner. The one who's been there. Background. The quiet one with the sketchbook. Ethan had never as a threat. This concern you. It's me. Because you're ruining my wife's wedding. And have that. The word landed a physical blow. Ethan flinched. Clara stood up. She took Marcus's arm. The quiet's okay. And at the airport, she said, you told me I'd always to you. Do you remember that? Ethan nodded. He was crying now. He didn't care. Know what that felt like? Clara said. It felt like me on a shelf. Like I was something you could take down when you were done with your first love. Like I would always be there. Wait's what I do. I wait. I'm sensible. I'm the strong. She paused. The room was silent. Someone leaned against a plate. I'm not waiting anymore, Clara said. I'm not your backup. I'm not your... I chose him. And I would choose him again. Every single time. Ethan opened his mouth. Nothing came out. The rester appeared at his elbow. A large man in a black, polite fit. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Ethan went to the door. He didn't. He couldn't. All that seemed to have gone out of him. Outside, coming down hard. He stood on the sidewalk in his expensive coat, getting wet, and watched the warm front windows. Clara was sitting down again. Marcus was saying something to her, and she was laughing. A real laugh. Because she used to laugh at his jokes. Before Sophie, before everything. His phone rang. Sophia's name on this. Ethan stared at it. He thought about the proposal at the place, about the ring, about the crowd cheering. Thought about how he'd felt that day. Triumph won something. He'd gotten the girl he'd always wanted. He pressed decline. The phone rang again. He declined again. Then he turned it off. Stood in the rain for a long time. Restaurant lights eventually dimmed. People started coming out. Umbrellas, laughter, goodnights. Clara and Marcus were among the last. Marcus holding an umbrella over Clara's hand at the small of her back. They didn't see Ethan. He was in the shadows by the alley. They got into a taxi, her head on Marcus's shoulder. The taxi pulled away. Ethan watched it disappear into the rain. And for the first time, not the regret he'd felt in the restaurant, not the panic he thought was his, he felt it. The real thing he had lost, and he had done it to himself. 6 months later, Clara stood on a black sand beach in southern Iceland and watched the sky turn green. The project had come through in March, a boutique hotel outside Vik, a client who'd found their firm through a magazine feature on Pacific Northwest modernism. Marcus had looked at the email and said, Iceland, the Aurora. You still want to? Clara had thought about the airport, about the canceled ticket, about the cream-colored sweater dress she'd never worn. Then she'd said, yeah, I still want to. They'd flown out on a Tuesday. The hotel was half-built, scaffolding and concrete, and the skeleton of a roof that Marcus had designed to angle toward the northern sky. So every room has a view, he'd said, like it was obvious, like he'd been planning it for years. Now it was almost midnight. The wind came off the Atlantic, sharp and salt cold. Clara was wearing the cream sweater dress. She'd found it in the back of her closet, tag still on, and packed it on a whip. Marcus had his arm around her shoulder, pulling her close against the cold. The Aurora moved above them like something alive, ribbons of green and violet, shifting, fold, unfold, silent, no scent, just light, moving across a sky so full of stars it looked like someone had spilled a bucket of dynamite. Marcus, Clara, show me the sketchbook. He hesitated, and he pulled it from his coat. The small moleskin he carried everywhere, the one he'd never let her look. He handed it to her. Clara. The first pages were architecture, sketches of doorways, window details, a staircase spiraling up. Then, about a third of the way through, the drawings changed. Her Clara at the drafting table, hair falling in her. Clara laughing at something Rosa. Clara standing by the warehouse window, holding a coffee cup, looking out at the page after page. Year then. The earliest was dated 2019. Second year of architecture, the community center. She looked. Then it. You've been drawing me since 2019, she said. I told you I'd been waiting since the year, said. He looked slightly missed. Drawing was the only way I could look at you without me. Clara turned. The most recent sketch was from me. Her on the construction site. Hard hacky, yelling at a contractor about load bearing. Marcus had captured the exact set of her jaw, the way her hands moved when she was explaining. She closed. She thought. Then she turned to him, the Aurora glowing green. You knew, she said, all the time. You knew you loved me. I waited because you were happy, Marcus said. Or that you were. Waited. Because I wasn't going to be the guy who showed up when you were vulnerable. I wanted you to choose me because you wanted me, not hurt. Clara kissed him. The wind was cold, but as warm. And above them, the northern lights moved like they were putting on a show, just battle. Ethan sat alone in his apartment in home. The Instagram post was from a photo of the Icelandic site. Clara in a hard hat, Marcus beside her, both things. The caption, 6 months in, and we're still building things together. Iceland are Aurora bound, who'd broken up with Sophie February. It hadn't been dramatic. She'd looked at him one night and said, you're not here. You're with her. You've been full time. And she'd been right. He'd been looking for Clara in so time. Clara laughed, the way she solved problems, the way she made solid. Sophia was a photograph of a known. Clara was the person who lived here. It's gone. And his company had taken a hit wedding incident. The video of him being escorted out of the restaurant had made the rounds, and a few investors. Nothing catastrophic, but enough to remind him that consequences. And down. The apartment was too big, too quiet. He'd when they were engaged. 4 bedrooms, a view of the Sound, a nursery he'd been planning. Wanted a nursery. She'd shown him paint swatches once, those and greens. He'd told her they'd get him tripped. Whiskey. He didn't drink it. He just held the glass and watched him streak the windows. Some thousands of miles north, the woman he should have married was watching the aurora with the airport. About the text he'd sent. About you'll always be important to me. He, in his own way. He'd just never understood it wasn't enough. That you couldn't keep a person on a shelf and it's nearly done. Drank the whiskey. It burned. Back in Iceland, Clara was lying on the hood of the rental car, Marcus beside her, laced together. The aurora was fading now, dissolving like ink in water. Thank you, Clara said. What? For waiting. For the sketchbook. For the hotel angled toward the sky. She paused. For not being. Marcus laughed. That last one was easy. Clara turned her head to look at him. His profile was sharp against the starlight, his jaw, his nose, the slight curve of his mouth. She thought about the airport, the gate, the text, the canceled ticket. She'd thought that day that she'd lost everything. The trip, engagements, the future she'd planned. She hadn't lost everything. She'd just lost the wrong things. And in losing them, made space for the right ones. What about the key in the new? Not a house, but the key to this. To a partnership that was equal. To a love that didn't require her to be sensible or strong or patient. To a man who'd drawn her in secret 6 years, then waited, quietly, ready to see him. Aurora was gone now. The sky was just stars. More stars than she'd ever seen, more than she'd thought possible. Marcus. Huh? Next year. I'll come back and bring the sketchbook. I want you to draw me under Aurora. Deal. They lay there in the cold, under the white eye either of them had ever seen, and neither for a long time. There was nothing. The wind had died down, the low murmur at the edge of the beach. Where a bird called once and went, Clara closed her eyes. She wasn't waiting for anything. She wasn't missing anything. She was exactly where she was supposed to be. And above her, the stars kept burning.